Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Zishan Rahat Qureshi. I am the CEO and founder of High Achievers League. So today we have with us Mr. Umair Hashmi. He's a Fulbright alumnus and he completed his PhD in electrical and computer engineering from University of Oklahoma. He is currently a consultant data scientist at Dell Technologies Canada. So welcome Umair.
Thank you, Zishan. Thank
I
you for
hope you are
having
doing
me.
well.
I am. Thank you. Thank you for asking. I hope the same for you too.
Okay, so let's start. So, my first question is how did you develop an interest in data science? And for someone, a layman who may not know, so what is data science all about?
Personally, my interest in machine learning, intelligence, data science really came about this boom in big data that started around 2010, 12. Those terms really became the buzzword. And my interest towards that area really started from when I started my PhD in University of Oklahoma, because that was based on application of analytics and data science based techniques on wireless technologies specific data to get an optimized version of your wireless network. So it really started from there. But as I dwelled into that area, the techniques that we were applying, the things that we were doing with data, I mean, what sort of insights you can find out from the data, that you have good quality data, that really interested me. And then it not just from the technical domain. When I started going through the blogs of how at that time machine learning, AI is being used and utilized in different domains, we came into that age of AI, age of ML at that time. So really, I mean, just reading about that and seeing the impact and seeing how it's helping us in every domain. Just from your recommender systems on online, on YouTube, on Amazon, to how it's helping in the financial domain, and now as well, I mean, now your generative AI systems, they're helping you write those reports, those documents on Chat GPT. So the interest has kept on evolving, it has kept on increasing. And so that's how my own interest started. And for any layman, I mean, data science, analytics, AI, ML, those are big terms. But really, what kind of knowledge, what kind of insight, what kind of hidden patterns you can find from data, which are not just visible if you have the data in front of you, is what data science is all about.
Okay, thank you. You were in Pakistan teaching before you went to US. So, what were you teaching and which universities were you in?
So really, I mean, even before coming to Pakistan, my first teaching experience actually has been almost 15 years back, and that was a high school in Leicester, England, when I was doing my master's over there. So that was my first teaching experience, and that's where I started into that domain of teaching, which has now become my passion. So when I returned to Pakistan after the masters, I joined Bahria University as a senior lecturer in their department of electrical engineering, where I taught for almost 3.5 years, and I covered a lot of courses from telecommunication systems, communication systems background, programming, even project management, management related courses. So it was a very wide variety of courses that I covered. And not only that, I was involved in technical student organizations on campus. I was the faculty in charge of ACM, Association of Computing Machinery student body at Bahia University, and also guiding students through their final year projects in different domains. So it was a very broad variety of technical expertise courses that I covered, and through that, their practical implementation in terms of the term projects that they did on this course, in these courses that I taught, along with the final year projects and some other student related activities on campus.
Right. So when I put up the flyer on your interview, a couple of your students contacted me and they told me that they were excited. They told me that he was our teacher. So that, that shows you were quite popular among students. So that's good to know. All
I'm
right.
glad. I'm glad.
Yeah. Okay, so you are a Fulbright alumnus, and as you know that I also worked with USCFP, the Fulbright Commission, for 7 years. So I was really happy to do your interview. So, what's your Fulbright story? How did you get the Fulbright scholarship?
So, Zishan, it's a really interesting story, actually. Fulbright or studying to US was not even my first priority when I was looking for getting into a university for PhD. So it was not in my consideration at one point in time. And there are things that happen that make you believe that some things are part of your destiny, and Fulbright is just one of those stories in my life that I'm very happy it happened eventually, but initially I was not planning for it. So I was already selected for fully funded PhD programs in some of the top universities in Asia, which I was considering going to. The Fulbright story actually came across when some of the representatives from the USCFP came to Bahia University, where I was teaching at that time, and they were giving out information session on the Fulbright Scholarship. And very surprisingly, I at that time remembered that I had given a GRE test back in 2008 when I graduated. I just thought that maybe I can use that GRE test to apply for this scholarship as well, for this opportunity as well. Interestingly, I in that test for which I prepared for maybe 1 week, had 100% marks in mathematics, and I thought that since I was going to do a PhD in engineering, that score might help me land the scholarship and a good admission. So I asked those representatives who were in Bahia University whether that score can be considered, because it was expiring maybe 2 or 3 months later for my application, and they said yes, it would be considered. So that's when I gave the application just to get another option for my PhD studies. And my good luck, I was accepted as a principal candidate. Another interesting part in that is also I was about to miss my interview. So once I was selected and called for interview, just a few days before that, I developed a severe respiratory infection, due to which I was hospitalized. And on the Monday on which I was supposed to give the interview, the weekend before, I was in hospital, and I was I thought I'm just going to miss that. A couple of colleagues came to see me in hospital, and when I told them this thing about the interview, they said no matter what happens, you need to go to the interview. You cannot miss the Fulbright interview. And so a canola in my hand, from which they were doing the interview, those drips that I was getting, and just going straight from the hospital bed to the interview. So I don't know, maybe the interviewers liked that dedication, or the interview went well. I was selected, and it was I was quite happy. But even after selection, I was not I really was not sure if US was where I wanted to do my PhD, considering number one, the distance from Pakistan, and number two, the duration of the degree. I think I'd give credit to my dad. He convinced me in taking this opportunity and leaving the others that I had at the time, because probably he could see long term how it would help me in terms of the location, in terms of what kind of opportunities I would be exposed to if I go to US. And so I went. I took that opportunity, and now I can say that was one of the best decisions that I ever made, thanks to my dad.
Right. So did you have any publications before you applied for Fulbright?
I did have I think about 4 to 5 conference publications before I applied. And those were really based on the projects that I did with the students at Bahia University or some of my own research projects as well. And so those were not extensive in terms of the technical depth, but maybe a few decent insights. And actually, that was a question that was asked from me on the Fulbright interview as well, as to why don't I have a PhD? Why don't I have a full-fledged journal publication at the time? And my response to that was, since I am working in so many diverse areas, I have not been able to focus on one area, because once I start the PhD is when I will have that full focus, full dedication in one research stream, in which I can then hopefully publish multiple journal papers, which I did. But at that time, at the time of when I was applying, I had publications, and those really helped. Those helped in
Right.
getting there, getting to the interview stage, and even in the interview stage. Later on, when I became part of the interview panel for Fulbright after I came back from my degree, those candidates which had publications really had an edge.
Okay. All right. And okay, so one question that we got from a student was that, these days there are opportunities for students in terms of what degrees they can do. So there are degrees, there's a bachelor's degree, for instance, in computer science, and then there are options to do bachelor's in data science. So the question was that if a student eventually wants to specialize in data science, so what's a better decision, whether they should go for a general computer science degree at bachelor level, or would it be okay to specify to make your choice specific and do a bachelor in data science? So how do they make this kind of a decision?
I really don't think that's going to make a big difference, a huge difference. A lot of courses that students in data science specific degree study are from the Department of Computer Science in universities. A lot of faculty is the same. A lot of students are also combined, in the sense that there are many students from the computer science programs that do specialization in data science. I would say that's not something to worry about a lot. If even they do computer science programs with their specialization courses in the third year, fourth year in data science, that would be good. One thing that they need to take care about for data science is that their statistics has to be really good. So a lot of machine learning techniques are based on probability, on statistics. And so those courses, although taught for all different programs, even for engineering programs, the importance is so much more for AI, ML, data science based degree programs. And those might well be focused significantly in data science based degrees. But to be honest, I mean, my students from NUST, even from the electrical engineering program, a lot of them are working in the AI ML domain. One of my very brilliant students who actually published a very nice paper with me in his final year project on AI ML, is right now doing an AI ML data science based degree from NYU on Fulbright Scholarship. So it's really up to the students. Students, even those that are doing computer science or electrical engineering, in their spare time or in their vacations, they're taking AI ML based courses on online resources like Udemy, Coursera. So do computer science to get a generic knowledge and then specialize in data science, or even start with data science to begin with. If you do a generic degree, it would just open up more opportunities, probably. And data science could be one of those opportunities. But if you want to focus on data science as well, eventually the 70 to 75% contents you're still going to cover from the computer science area. So it's not going to make a major difference.
All right. So, Umair, one thing I was wondering was that when students go for Fulbright, so they Sometimes, students ask me that we don't want to apply for Fulbright because we have to come back and we don't want to come back and get stuck in Pakistan. But I can see that you did Fulbright and now, even now, you're sitting in Canada. So, how did it all happen?
I think I should tell you from Fulbright alumni. Obviously, those that are based in Pakistan. After that, I think the biggest alumni group from Fulbright, particularly from the recent Fulbright students. I'm talking about the last, those that have graduated in the last maybe 8 to 10 years. You'll find the biggest group in Canada itself.
Okay.
So a lot of students have immigrated to Canada. And yes, that is one of the questions that my students ask me as well. And it's really based. So my peers, from my peers, I was probably one of the very few who went on Fulbright. A lot of my peers, those who I studied with in my engineering university, almost all of them who came to US were non-Fulbright scholars.
Direct admissions.
Direct admissions scholarships, and now they're living in US, they're settled in US, most of them. Some have moved elsewhere, and also from my students, a few of them got Fulbright scholarship, but a majority of students who studied in university are direct admission, self-funded, sponsored by the professors or their departments. Those are non-Fulbright. But it's really, I think Fulbright itself, it's not just about the masters. Fulbright is a whole experience. It's a whole exposure that they give to the students, not in terms of academics, but as a cultural experience. I think that has been really enriching for the Fulbright alums and those that are doing it right now. There's seminars that they do while in the US, the connections that they build even before going to the program and over there. And just having that prestige of being a Fulbright alumnus, I think that is huge. But if the short-term goal of students is to stay in the US after they graduate, then Fulbright is not the way to go. And for those that can come back and most of the scholars already have employments in Pakistan, so they can come back and then reassess their plans and go back later if they want. But those that want to just start their career as soon as they graduate, for them Fulbright is not the option. And that's what I used to tell my students as well. It's really on your personal goals as well.
So even if students are applying for Fulbright, I generally tell them to also apply directly in university admissions based on funding. So that's a good idea. That gives them some backup as well, and they can try their luck.
Yes, of course. And yes, definitely. A lot of students, apply simultaneously for Fulbright and university admissions. I can talk more specifics on the PhD. So, master's students, a lot of master's students are self-funded students. Not a lot of US-based universities give funding for master's-based students. But for PhD, it's really all the students that come on an F1 visa to US on PhD, they're funded by the professors or the department. I haven't seen a student paying for his PhD studies while studying in the US. So, but for them, obviously, their interaction with the professors, the pressure that they're in is all the way different than someone who's on a sponsored program like I was, and a lot of students that are doing PhD onwards. Because for a lot of professors, the level of funding changes over time. The level of grants they can give to students change over time for PhD, and PhD is a long program. So a lot of psychological pressures that students who are non-Fulbright may face while they're doing PhD. I think Fulbright gave us, the Fulbright's PhD scholars, that cushion, because our funding was from IIE, US State Department, and Pakistan government as well. So we had that coverage, we had that cushion, and we could really explore our options. A lot of students, on non-Fulbright, if they come and they find that this professor or this area is not where I wanted to work, then it's a bit tricky for them to move.
Right.
to a different area, to a different professor. But with Fulbright, we had that leverage. The first year, when I started my PhD, I did not have any professor at all. I was just doing my courses, and I was
Right.
looking at different labs, looking at different areas, exploring. But a lot of other students, they just come and they have to be associated with that lab that they've joined in or they're part of. So there are
Okay.
those factors as well.
So, last question, Omer. So, I saw this paper on your profile. The paper is on artificial intelligence and radar resource management that was designated as top 10% papers in terms of downloads. So, would you like to elaborate something about that? That's a great achievement.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, that is the work. Actually, my first work experience in Canada, which was a postdoc at University of Toronto. I was with University of Toronto for about 3 to 4 months, and that was basically a survey work that we did on the merger of radar resource management and AI techniques. So we provided fundamental knowledge of RRM, which is radar resource management, some basic concepts for that, how we can use cognitive radio for different purposes. Then we provided some radar resource management in some symbolic AI domain, how those were used, some baseline results of that. And then we proceeded in applying and in providing a comprehensive review of machine learning based techniques. So we started with some AI ML specific knowledge, giving some baseline of what AI ML techniques. We have some of the major techniques, some of the major machine learning algorithms, and then also how they are applied in multiple RRM based applications like target identification, tracking, some other one like spectrum allocation, how that is done, some waveform synthesis. So all those techniques which are radar specific that we did. So this was the first work. It was funded by the Canadian Defense Organization based in Ottawa. And based on that work, further students and postdocs under the supervision of Professor Adve at the University of Toronto then applied some of the techniques, AI ML techniques, and created new research ideas, new research papers on AI ML applications. So it's a really good sort of a survey paper, sort of a paper that would give readers that are maybe not well versed in AI/ML some background in the AI/ML, and then how AI/ML is applied in some of the most recent works in this domain, which is the radar resource management.
Okay, thank you so much, Omer. And I hope this interview would be beneficial to the students. Thank you so much for taking your time out and being our guest.
Thank you very much, Zishan. Thank you so much for having me. And I do whenever I get time. All any of my students who need guidance and help, I'm always there to provide them that. And even students that are working with you, if there are any specific things that they would like to inquire or they're confused with, even at NUST, I helped a lot of students get UGrad opportunities as well. So students, I always feel very happy helping them out in their future studies. So I would be happy to see if they have any questions, helping them through your platform. That would be really nice.
That's very generous of you. So thank you and Allah Hafiz. Take care.
Allah Hafiz. Thank you. Have a good day.